Hello guys, and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about Docker, a quite ubiquitous term nowadays. If you look at 3-4 years before, especially at objectives, at certifications and etc., you can see that it's only the virtual machine that is being mentioned. And I think it's hard to come across any person who is in IT or has been or is preparing for certifications that doesn't know what virtual machine is. It's quite easy, like this is virtualization, this is hypervisor, there are two types of hypervisors and etc. However, Docker is comparatively newer terms, especially for those who are just entering IT industry or just start to learn about cloud, continuous integration, continuous deployment and etc. And it became quite ubiquitous. That's why I decided to put together this video where we will be discussing 5 key facts about Docker that you need to know in order to have a better hang of the term and better be prepared to use it. By reading the definitions, we can think or we can feel that the knowledge of the Docker that the definition provides is not enough. So we basically know what Docker is. It is something like virtualization, but we don't understand deeply what it actually is and most importantly, why it is used. That's why these 5 key facts will help you to navigate your way through Docker easier. The first fact about Docker is that Docker is actually the name of the app. It's the name of the company rather than the name of the whole technology definition. The technology definition is containerization, whereas the Docker is the company that provides this technology. This is the same as virtualization is a term, virtual machines, virtualization, whereas the VMware or VirtualBox are apps that enable us to put together, to create and use virtual machines. That's why there is another company called Podman that offers the containerization services, and I'm sure there are several other companies, but the most popular of them is Docker. That's why many people confuse the Docker and the name of the definition itself. They think that the Docker is the technology, but no, the Docker is the name of the most popular company that provides containerization. The second fact is that what actually makes Docker different from the VM virtual machines is that Docker is based on the host operating system. So the containers are being created on the host operating system. If you recall, with virtual machines, you need to have a hypervisor, a software that would allow you to create these virtual machines. And each virtual machine has its own operating system. You can't use your host operating system for Docker related virtual machines. That's why the containers with Docker are much easier to deploy and much easier to put together, because you don't have to find Linux license as you must do for virtual machine. You don't have to think about downloading and deploying Linux image as it is on the virtual machine. You just can go ahead and create containers right on your host operating system, and it will have the Docker will have the same operating system as your host operating system. You're using Windows, your containers will be on Windows. You're using Linux, your containers will be on Linux, and etc. So that's why it actually gives you the better speed for continuous integration and continuous deployment. The third fact about Docker is that the main use case of the Docker is compiling applications. So imagine, to start with, you need to have an executable in order to run any application, especially for those who are running Windows. You open the folder, you're looking for application, and yes, you spotted it. It's .exe1. That's why you're clicking on it and running an application. So when you have the source code written in Python or in C++ or anything else, for example, the source code written in Python has py and at the file format, it is not yet executable. You need to compile your source code, your program, in order to be able to execute it and use it as a program. That's why you need a separate room on your machine to compile this program. Why? First of all, well, if your program is written in a wrong way, you can unintentionally damage something on your host operating system. Second, your host operating system may be a server, so the programs that you are compiling may use more resources that you actually allocated for it, and it can meddle with other resources. So it can be scary for you as for administrator or a developer to run this application and to compile it on your operating system. That's why the Docker container created on your operating system gives you a separate room, an isolated room where you can compile your application and where the application is on its own. So you're not meddling with other processes, you're not wary of actually damaging something on your host OS, because you have an isolated room for your application and you have your seclusion to compile applications and etc. Does Docker have other use cases? Of course, imagination is the limit. But you can, well, there is no but actually. You can run applications, you can do whatever you want in containers that you create. But most common use case and the main use case that made Docker popular is actually the fact that it allows creating containers for compiling the applications. The fourth important fact about Docker is that it provides you with a registry. The Docker app itself comes with a registry. Registry is same as the library where you keep the container images. So that basically there is a public Docker registry where you can download Ubuntu container image and deploy it right away. You can download the Windows container image and deploy it right away. Or you can create your own images and keep them in the repository, name them appropriately, tag them appropriately, and etc. So whenever you're deploying an application or on Ubuntu 20.04 version, you don't have to set it all up to again. You can just take this image from your container registry, deploy it, and go ahead with it. And it makes your job way easier. There are other companies that provide the container registry function for you, but as I mentioned, the Docker application comes with a ready registry function as well, so you can as well use that. There are different applications that require different versions of operating systems or different environmental variables to be present, and etc. etc. And you as a developer or you as someone who in quality control, quality assurance department, you need to deploy all these different applications or all these different versions of the same application. So why the Docker is important, the registry is important? You can create 10, 20, whatever however many you need, different container images, and actually take them and deploy immediately. And that actually allows you to be more scalable, allows your company to be more scalable. The fifth important fact about the Docker is that it can be managed and used from the terminal or from the command line. I know for people who just start in IT industry, it's easier for them to have a GUI, a graphical interface, and that's what Docker application provides as well. But most common use of using Docker is actually using it via the terminal. You've got the Docker executable downloaded when you download the application, whether it's command line or terminal, and you can run different Docker commands using Docker executable and the command that you need to run. It's the same as with Python or Python 3 executable. You run Python and then the file name, and then you compile the program, or you run Python program using the executable. And the same is with Docker. Docker website contains all the information you need about the different commands that it has. And the main actually point of me mentioning it as a separate fact about the Docker is that you are able to actually put together bash scripts, which are scripts that are running different commands on the terminal using the Docker commands. So for example, every day you come to work, you create Docker container, you run Docker commit command, then you tag Docker images in the registry, you run Docker tag or Docker push or Docker pull command, whatever you need. So instead of actually coming and running all of this command every morning by yourself, wasting your time, you can just put them all together in a separate bash script, and all you need to do when you come to work is just run the bash script, and that's it. It saves you so much time, especially when you're working for big companies. You are scaling, or you're deploying thousands of containers at the same time, and obviously it would take you a lifetime to do everything separately and everything on your own. That's why it's very important that Docker allows you to run everything from the terminal, and it allows you to run everything in scripts. That's why, just to summarize these 5 facts, Docker allows you to deploy containers on a higher speed, so it allows you to have continuous integration, continuous deployment. It allows you to run everything on your host operating system. Second, Docker allows you to be scalable, so it allows you to use container images, container registries to deploy thousands of containers at the same time. And Docker allows you to automate tasks, because you can put together different scripts and to run different Docker commands at the same time without actually need to type them all at the same time. So I really hope I was able to sort of make this definition more clear to you and clean up a vagueness about it. However, please don't hesitate to let me know in the comment section down below what you think about Docker. Have you heard about Docker, or this is just the first time when I coined this definition in front of you? Do you know more about Docker? Maybe you'd like to share even more. Do you like this term, or virtualization and virtual machines sound more logical to you? What you think is very important to me, so please don't hesitate to leave your opinions down below in the comment section. Thank you very much for being with me today, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, because it adds up to my motivation to create more, to pass more certifications, and to pass my knowledge and expertise on to you. Thank you very much for being with me today, and have a nice day. Bye!